episode of Arinda Talks. Today we will talk about Robocop. OCP Crime Prevention Unit 001, or better known as Robocop, was a cyborg police officer created by Omni Consumer Products, with the remains of the brutality murder police officer Alex Murphy. So, I have rewatched the 4 movies of Robocop and a little bit of the episodes, few episodes of the series of Robocop. And I must say, I am not really fond of the series, cause it's really, it's not the Robocop we know, and I do like the movies, and guys, I'm really shocked. And let me see, I wrote it down somewhere what the rating is of IMDb. And the ratings for Robocop 1 in 1987 is a 7.6. Okay, I can live with that. But after that, it's become lower and lower, and I'm a little shocked by that. Robocop 2 in 1990 was 5.8. Robocop 3 from 1993 is a 4.1. And Robocop 4 from 2014 is a 6.2. And like I said, guys, I really are a little bit, I don't want to say disappointed about the rating, but I expected more. Especially for the 90s children who are, in this case, it is very nostalgic and very from that time. And Robocop is something that you could see for like, what is it, maybe in a few years? I think we already have the technology for it, by the way. If we can make those robots who really are already functional as a human and have human futures, I think we already have the technology of creating a Robocop. So it's very 90s, and as a child, because let me say 87 was the first one. 87, I was 5 years old, so I probably would watch that a little later. So I'm from 82, so I'm really an 80s, 90s kid. But Robocop and Alex Murphy was always one of my favorite heroes as a child. And I didn't know it at the time, because when I was about 10 years old, I was starting writing with fan fictions, and Robocop is one of the first fan fictions I ever wrote. What is very, to a child, that's very, I don't know if say weird, but at the time I didn't know it were fan fictions. And to be honest, another thing, the actor who played Alexander Murphy or Robocop, Peter Weller, who also played in Apollo 13, etc. Every time if I hear his voice or I see him on screen, I have to think of Robocop. And I remember that in the second movie of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, Into the Darkness, and he played a admiral, I was thinking right away, hey, that's Robocop. And I think he's played it so iconical, and that's what I think it is really with it's so iconical that nobody else can play it that way in a way. And I noticed that when I watched the series, I knew already, by the way, that it isn't Peter Weller. So, yeah, it was not Robocopish as you know, and the female who played Lewis, yeah, that was totally weird. She reminds me of what's her name? She also played in On the Siege too, and I believe also in Baywatch. Can't remember her name. I think she called in Baywatch Shawnee, if I'm correct. But okay. So, the begin scenes on Robocop 1, we see Murphy transforming to a new district and Lewis was becoming his partner. And I think in a way, they have been matched up very well. The other thing we know, of course, is OCP, who originally wanted to take over all the police corps in the country, and they made Robocop. But let me go a little bit back. So when they went on patrol, Lewis and Murphy counted some kind of a robbing something going on, and they followed them to some kind of a warehouse, and the backup are still I thought about 7 or 8 minutes away, or even 12, I can't remember. And they weren't waiting for backup, and I really was thinking, why won't you do that? Normally you have to wait for backup. So they encountered the robbers, and they are very well known as in the police system. The robbers were kicking the shit out of them, and when they shot Murphy and did those things to him, I think as a child, but also like, it was a very difficult situation, and I was really thinking, dude, why don't you wait for a backup, cause this is what you get. Well, I think they did that because of they needed some kind of a speed to get to the point that Murphy became Robocop. So, and that was my surprise when Clarence Bennington is his name, who shot him in the head. I was thinking, how can he still be alive? Or do they just only need to have his brain functions to make him out of a Robocop? And I must say, Robocop in the 90s was good for that time, but the Robocop that they made in 2014, I like that a little bit better because it's more futuristic. But it is nice to have to know, okay, we're making robots out of humans, and there's still a human touch if they are staying it correct. And it really reminds me of the androids and synths in Star Trek. But it was a nice idea to have, you know that you would protect it, and in one way they couldn't kill the cop in a way. Well, of course we see that the bad guys have different kind of things to demolish and attacking Robocop. And one thing that was really well, I don't want to say funny, but was the scene that Robocop was for the first time online, and he was kind of showing off at the station his skills, and everyone was impressed by it. And but only Lewis was only the one who recognized him as Murphy, and through the whole how can I say this, to the whole movies, I liked the connection he and Lewis had. It was not only friends but also family. And when you are looking at Robocop 3, that little girl would have a lot of aspect for him to in his life, I guess, because it is a girl that is very smart with computers. And I remember thinking when that scene was that she couldn't sleep and she went talking to him and making actually friends. She, oh well, I think he had those memories of his own family, and in that movie you could see that his wife was complaining that he still was watching them, and but she was having another life. And but I do think when she could, and that was the nice thing about the Robocop from 2014, which was almost the same as the first Robocop movie. You could see in that movie that the family is staying in contact with Murphy and calling him Murphy and etc. So I don't think maybe that would be only good. And like I said, in the 90s movies, there wasn't a tolerance or exception that somebody could be half human, half robot. And when he recognized or remembers that he was dead, I think that overloaded his system and came as a shock. And then he I think it was like he had to find out what happened. And when he actually searched into because there were times that the bad guys were attacking him, and he couldn't, by recording what he was seeing, he could later found back in the database who that was. And so he figured out that he was being murdered in a way, or they say he was murdered. And and that's one thing I always never liked. They sees him as a true robot and not as a human who need a robot body to live. And in all the movies you see that that's really a struggle for him, and I think that is beautiful made, because it is also like it's the struggle what humans will have. And I think Robocop is just also like a example for young children, and it's also like one of the thing you could help with. It's just maybe my imagination or just the feeling I would got if there is someone we could trust and that kind of thing. So there was the other party of OCP that I really don't like. I really don't like OCP. They really using Robocop as a power object to restrain people, and we really saw that in the movie 3 when the cops joined the rebellion to fight the OCP, etc. And I remember there was a shock to me that great quote unquote general or admiral who was super corrupt and would even recruit punks or troublemakers to his team. And the nice thing is that Murphy always has stayed himself in a way. And I think thanks to Lewis, he stayed himself in a way. And talking about Lewis, I really was gobsmacked when she passed away, and that even OCP would fire upon their own people in a way. And what I did like of the Lewis from 2014 and even the Lewis from the 90s, they had an eager way of doing their jobs, and they know when Murphy or Robocop was had something in his mind or figured something out that could prove that somebody was corrupt or whatever in the police corps. They knew this was the best time to play bad cop, good cop, bad cop. And we see them do that a few times, what was funny. And also that Robocop always used that one line I think we love. It's like for Arnold Schwarzenegger in as Terminator, I'll be back. And Robocop would use, dead or alive, you come with me. And he said that a couple of times or a lot of times in the movies, and I think that is his signature of him being Robocop. I must confess, when I saw first the time when he removed his helmet, I was a little shocked how they made that, because I couldn't think of how what was under there. And when we looking at Robocop 2, we saw how they changed Kane into another Robocop version, bad Robocop version, because he was addicted to the nuke, of course, the nuke that he had made himself. And I don't think, well, I think it's and that is one thing that is a little bit shocking about the Robocop movies, is that they really have some kind of a team that is also nowadays what they do nowadays, and it is something what we could see. And like I said, there are other series and other movies with messages, lifetime lessons in it, and I think Robocop is one of them. And when we see that it still is like, and that's what I believe in the first three movies, is that it was really like a follow-up movie or follow-up story, because it is movie 1, 2, and 3 are, I think, in a time aspect of like 4 to 6 months, because it is really, every time we went to a next movie, you see that it was like a follow-up and a little bit further in Robocop's process, but also in the strike what they had of police corps, etc. And I think it's really nice to see that it is truly a big one storyline. And as we look at the movie 3 again, that little girl of the Resistance was played a very good big role, but also like the Resistance warriors. And the fun part was, and what I really was hoping that they would do was that the police corps was going to help the resistance. And I have said that before in now, but it is a moment of hope and also of like I don't want to say resistance, but it is more like defending something you love. And that's also, we've seen that in a couple of movies and series that they do. I think it's also very well done that they actually show you that the police will not shoot children in a way of if they don't have to, in a way that they show that kids are vulnerable and not have that state of mind that adults will have. And I'm talking about that kid who blew that nuke operation off in Robocop 2. And I think there were a lot of scenes that you could see, okay, this is really good fears bad. And OCP is more running wilder each day. And now I need to look something up on Google. Hold on, guys. Yeah, I was correct. The Japanese stockholder is a very famous actor, and the one who was kind of the big boss at OCP, I thought that was Earl, who also does the voice of Darth Vader, but it wasn't. I just checked it. Another thing I like about Robocop is that I think it's, back then it was futuristic and was something for in the future, but it could be also something for nowadays. And that's why I said I'm shocked about what the rating is, and the rating on IMDb was very low, and because I think in all, I think I will give it like an 8 or an 8.5. And just because it's a good storyline, there are good lessons in it, like good face, bad, and what is right thing to do. But also like, and I got that feeling a little bit when I was watching again the movies of, and it was like the Marines will say, we never will leave someone behind. And when Murphy became Robocop, I had that feeling of, okay, he is much more alive still, but he needs another body. I had the feeling like that, and I must say, we do need to take better care for veterans. And I think the issue of a lot of issues in a way has been put out in those movies, and my fiance always said in some of the 80s and 90s cartoons and movies it was not political correct, and that made them loved. And I know it's weird to say this, but you heard the phrase a lot of time of the 80s and 90s were the best year, and I think it is because we have a lot better music, we have a lot better freedom in a way. And well, what we have experienced with COVID, the 80s and 90s were totally different. And I must say, in the 80s and 90s, me as a kid was more like, not have that most worries. Of course, singing and dancing and music was the big red thread to my life. So I recorded from the radio with my cassetter almost every song that they played. And oh my gosh, I had boxes full of music from recording of the radio. And you millennium kids will not understand this, but the cassette deck and the radio was or music of today, like or the YouTube or Spotify of today's. So having this, and I remember we had one of the first cassette decks that there was at the time. There was a Philips one, a big one, a huge one. So I probably saw also the Robocop movies on VHS. That is how they called it, like a cassette tape. And we watched that a lot because my younger brother was very into Robocop. So guys, I have a question for you. Do you think that maybe now or in the future that we'll have some kind of a man machine like Robocop? And what will do it to us as humans if we only have a machined force? Because we already seen it in the war that we are not sending soldiers in a way, but more like we're doing everything with a drone. So what do you guys think? Will there be some kind of a Robocop to protect us, etc.? Or will that never happen? Dear listeners, thank you for listening and join me in 2 weeks for a new episode of Arena Talks. The next episode is about Lord of the Rings. You can listen, subscribe and comment to Arena Talks on the YouTube channel or join the Facebook group. I also like to tell you about my other podcast called Girls Talking Trek. Girls Talking Trek is a podcast hosted by 2 female trekkers who will recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek, starting with TNG. All the episodes will be recapping in chronologically following. Girls Talking Trek is also to listen, follow and subscribe on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music or on your favorite podcast app. Every 10th episode will be a video episode so you guys can watch us talking about the episode. We also have a YouTube channel and Facebook group where you can comment on the episodes. I also have a new YouTube channel called #LittleDutchie. On this channel I will react on typical UK things and will explain typical Dutch things. Like, subscribe and hit the notification button to keep on track of the Little Dutchie YouTube channel. I will see you in 2 weeks.